A quick disclaimer at the beginning of the video here. I tried 3 different times to upload this review and it got copyright flagged each time because I used footage from the movie. I tried every trick I could think of, from changing the hue of the movie footage to mirror flipping it, to shrinking it and shoving it in a corner over still images, to editing away from shots every couple of seconds, and nothing worked. It all got flagged. It's frustrating as my use of this movie footage falls squarely in the realm of fair use, but these automatic copyright filters aren't sophisticated enough to understand that nuance. Not to mention, the film in question technically belongs to Disney now, and I imagine they are more strict than others when it comes to copyright material. It also breaks the format of my previous reviews where I show scenes that correlate to the picture quality opinions I'm addressing. So unfortunately, I had to scrap all movie footage from this review just to get around the filters. But I didn't want the work I had already done to go to waste, so that leaves me with just showing pretty unengaging footage of me just handling the Steelbook case. So apologies if the video portion of this review is not up to my usual standards, and I appreciate you taking a look anyway. Another day, another highly anticipated 4K Steelbook release that immediately sold out everywhere and is impossible to find. This time, it's the dad movie classic Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World from 2003. Now, I've always enjoyed this naval warfare period piece. It feels very authentic with the costumes and the antiquated ship jargon. It's also so nice to revisit now because I don't think a movie like this, with this kind of budget, would get made today. Indeed, though critically praised, it didn't quite get the box office to greenlight proposed sequels. I think its main contender for high adventure on the open seas in the age of sails was Pirates of the Caribbean, which came out the same year, and there was just no competing with that. Which is too bad because this is based on a series of novels by Patrick O'Brian, so there was plenty of source material to choose from. I recently watched for the first time the movie Captain Horatio Hornblower from 1951, and despite the very funny name, gave me a lot of Master and Commander vibes. It's a more romantic look at a similar setting and scenario, and Gregory Peck is as dashing as ever as the titular captain. It has some good ship-to-ship warfare, so if you don't mind older films and want something that scratches a similar itch, give that a shot. Anyway, getting back to this new 4K of Master and Commander, the film was originally distributed by Fox, which means this 4K is being put out by Disney. In a now familiar refrain on this channel, the Steelbook is sold out just about everywhere. I put in pre-orders with multiple retailers, and Walmart was the one that ended up coming through. Hopefully this gets reprinted and restocked soon, but it's frustrating to have to play the pre-order and cross your fingers game for seemingly every other movie that comes out. There is a standard non-Steelbook version that will be coming out in the UK in September, so if you want to save a few bucks and are comfortable with importing, that might be a less stressful way to go. The Steelbook is nice though. Decent cover art on the front and back. There's a little paper card with the special features, tech specs, and credits printed on it. Inside, we have some more artwork and 2 discs, one 4K and one Blu-ray. It also comes with a digital code, which I left out of the shot for obvious reasons. And that's it for the Steelbook. It's a pretty minimal edition, but that's okay. Shelf space is running low as is. Now we can finally take a look at the picture quality. It's presented in Dolby Vision, and that's how I watched it. Now, movies from the early 2000s represent an interesting shift in how they were made. Most big studio movies were still being shot with 35mm film, but CGI was becoming more and more common, and almost all of that stuff was rendered at 2K. So the final output, if you want to call it that, would then be finished at 2K as well. That's why the 4K releases of a lot of special effects movies from around that time are upscaled from 2K as opposed to being native 4K. So think of like the Lord of the Rings and the Star Wars prequels. Master and Commander is in a similar boat, but I read an article on the Digital Bits site that mentions that while this movie is shown in upscaled 2K for the special effects shots, so that includes things that really aren't that noticeable, like horizon replacements or sky replacements. The stuff that was shot on 35mm without special effects plates, so like a lot of the interior shots, those are native 4K here. Now, I had assumed the whole movie would have been upscaled 2K, but there are plenty of native 4K scenes here on the disc presented in true 4K. I can't really think of another movie presented like this, so it's truly a best of both worlds scenario. Now, overall, the picture quality is great, and it's a nice upgrade from the old Blu-ray. This movie won the Academy Award for cinematography, and I think this disc honors that quite well. There's plenty of fine detail to look at, from the threads on the costumes to the wood grain and rigging on the ship. There's some nice texture to the landscape of the Galapagos Islands, where you can clearly see individual rocks and pieces of rubble strewn about. Those 2K shots with horizon replacements I was talking about can look a little bit soft if you look closely, but that's baked into the source, and there's really no way to get more fidelity out of those shots without going back and completely re-rendering the special effects like they did for the high-def remasters of Star Trek: The Next Generation. As far as the Dolby Vision goes, this is a movie with a very muted color palette. There's really nothing to show off the zing of Dolby Vision like laser blasts or stylized neon lighting. Its strength lies in the darker scenes, of which there are many. The black levels get very deep, down to letterbox black, with no washed out grayish blacks. Even the daytime exterior scenes usually have an overcast sky and very dark waters. The Dolby Vision helps bring out subtle detail in these darker tones. Bit rates average around the 50s, which isn't too bad, and despite the specs for this disc on Blu-ray.com, this is actually a 66 gigabyte disc, not 100, so those bit rates make a little more sense. Despite not soaring into the 90s like some other discs I've reviewed, I didn't really notice any egregious compression issues, especially in the foggy, cloudy scenes at the beginning or scenes with a lot of smoke, as poor compression will usually reveal blockiness or banding in these scenes. These elements look very naturally presented, so I can't find much fault with the encode here. Now for sound, as I've stated before, I have just a humble 3.1 setup and I share a wall with a neighbor, so I don't usually crank the sub up too much. I don't have the gear to fully evaluate the Dolby Atmos soundtrack here. It's the only English option available aside from the descriptive audio track. Now, in reading through some forums and looking at some other video reviews for this 4K, it seems the Atmos track may have some neutered bass levels on it. Apparently, the DTS HD soundtrack on the old Blu-ray has more oomph in the lower frequencies. I will say I wouldn't be surprised if this is the case, as Disney has had a bad reputation for putting out anemic sound mixes on their discs for years now. I can't give a definitive answer one way or the other, so if sound is a deal breaker for you, then I suggest looking into this for yourself and coming to your own conclusion. A bunch of special features from the old collector's edition DVD are missing here, so if those are important to you, definitely hang on to your older discs. So, final verdict. While not being a be-all, end-all comprehensive edition of this film, I'd say the gains of the video quality are worth the upgrade here, assuming you can find this in stock and for MSRP. A weakened sound mix and lack of legacy extras is a bummer, but the Oscar-winning cinematography really holds up and looks great. It really is the lesser of two Weevils.